Hello, in this video I will further explain what to expect on the midterm test. The midterm test will be out of 40 marks, and 40 marks is bigger than any of the assignments that you've done this semester. It'll be the second biggest evaluation that I do for you this semester. The only one that'll be bigger is the final exam. And so if we start, the test location and rules, the midterm test will be written at St. Michael's in room 9, so that's my classroom. The test will be written on paper, so there will be no cell phones, laptops, Chromebooks, electronic dictionaries, or other electronic devices that will be allowed on the test, and you will not be able to use your notes on the test. It'll be a regular test where you're seated in class, and I give you the test paper, and you write your answers. So it's one of only 2 times this semester where I get a chance to see you write your answers in class. All right. In terms of the test dates, I'm asking you to contact me if you have not already and schedule a date and a time for your test. So you can choose any one of these 4 days, so November 1st through November 4th, and you can choose the morning, 9:30, or the afternoon, 12:30. Now, I would like the tests to start at 9:30 or 12:30, and I would like the tests to be held on one of these 4 days, but I know that some students will not be available on these days, and I know, for example, that some students started this course later. You didn't start on time in September, and I don't expect you to have finished Unit 2 by the beginning of November. So if there's a reason why you can't write the test on one of these days, please email me and let me know. The most important thing is that you contact me, and we can discuss an alternative date or an alternative time when you can write the test. Okay? All right, in terms of the test format, what will the test look like? It'll be divided into 4 parts. There'll be multiple choice, there'll be parts of speech and grammar, there'll be reading response questions, and there'll be a paragraph answer. And each part will be worth 10 marks. To further explain what to study in order to prepare for these 4 different parts, we can go down to test content. And so I've listed what you should know from Unit 1 and Unit 2. So if you go back through Unit 1, you can look at the content of Activity 1, 2, and 3. And of course, you'll find the parts of speech like nouns and pronouns and verbs and adjectives and adverbs. And you'll also find other things in the content like types of texts, reading strategies, writing strategies, paragraph writing, listening skills. These are all things that were covered in Unit 1 that I would expect you to know for the test. For Unit 2, we covered grammar, so we did spelling and capitalization, subjects and predicates, sentence fragments and run-ons, and commas and apostrophes, and we also focused on the story elements. So we did character, plot, within plot we did conflict, and then we did setting, point of view, and theme. So if you take this material from the content of Unit 1 and Unit 2, this is where I would get my questions for the multiple choice. So I'll ask multiple choice questions about, say, reading strategies or writing strategies, or the different story elements like character, plot, conflict, setting, point of view. So you want to know what these different terms are, and you want to be able to understand them to answer the multiple choice questions. In terms of the parts of speech and grammar, you'll have to show me that you know things like nouns and pronouns and verbs and adjectives and adverbs. You'll have to show me that you can, identify subjects and predicates or sentence fragments and commas and apostrophes. So all of this material is going to be fair game on the multiple choice and the parts of speech and grammar sections. I won't be able to ask you about everything in Unit 1 and 2. But this is the material where I will take the questions from. Okay. In terms of the reading response section here, I've got a further explanation down here. It says, be able to read a short story and demonstrate that you understand the content. So I would expect you to be able to read a story, and you've been doing this in every activity in Unit 2. You've read a different story in every activity. And so I would expect you to read one more story and show me that you understand what's happening in the story, the content. Secondly, I would expect you to be able to apply the story elements to the story. So I would expect you to be able to talk about the characters and describe them. I would expect you to be able to identify different conflicts in the story. I would expect you to be able to identify location and time period, things that make up the setting. I would expect you to be able to identify the point of view. Is it first person? Is it third person observant? Is it third person omniscient? And then lastly, I would expect you to be able to identify theme, so the messages in the story. You can see the test preparation section down here. We'll get to that in a minute, where I'll give you more detail on the story that you'll read. And then the last part of the test, you'll have to write a paragraph. And so I expect you to show me that you can write a properly structured paragraph. You should be able to write 8 sentences in your paragraph. If you want to go up to 10 sentences, that's fine, but you should have at least 8. And you should have a proper topic sentence, body sentences, concluding sentence, and you should use transition words in your paragraph. So if you want, you can go back to look at Unit 1, Activity 2. And in that activity, we covered paragraph writing, and there was examples of paragraphs, and you wrote a paragraph on your favorite travel destination. And so I would expect you to be able to do that again on your test. Again, if you see down here in the test preparation, I'll give you some more detail on the paragraph that you're going to write. Any topic that's not covered here in this section right here, if there's anything on the website that you've looked at that is not mentioned here, it will not be on the test. These are the only topics that I would cover on the test. Now, lastly, in terms of test preparation, you should already have your study notes for the test. In Unit 1, Activity 3, there was review questions, and in Unit 2, Activity 4, there were review questions. So by the time you get to this activity, and by the time you get to the midterm, you should have already answered the review questions and made your notes that you can go over and study for the test. But just in case, here's the Unit 1 review questions and the Unit 2 review questions. And if you download them, they look like this. So this is the Unit 1 review questions, and this is the Unit 2 review. So again, if you were to answer all of the questions in these 2 review question sheets, then you, I think, have made very good study notes that you can then read over to prepare for the test. In terms of those reading response questions that I talked about on the test, I said you would have to read a short story. This is the short story that you will read. It's called My Selfish Mistake. So if you click on this link right here, you can see the story right here. So if you want to, you can read the story ahead of time and get a good idea of it before you come in and write the test. I'm not going to give you the questions that I'm going to give you ahead of time. You'll have to wait till you come to the test to see them. But you can do the reading ahead of time if you like. And then lastly here it says, for the paragraph question on the test, you will write a paragraph on your favorite season. So I'm going to expect you to be able to write a paragraph on either why fall, winter, spring, or summer is your favorite season. So I've given you the topic ahead of time here. So if you want, you can prepare your points and examples in advance before you come to the test. But keep in mind, you cannot bring an already written paragraph, or you cannot bring your notes into the test and read them while you write the test. You're going to have to do the test on your own. But if you want to kind of prepare in advance, you can. I've already given you the topic that you will write on. I hope this helps, and I hope this prepares you for the midterm test. If you have any questions, please let me know.